Hey guys, this is Michael from Mars Web Development Channel. Um, this is my first video on web development, so I hope you guys like it. But what I want to do is just share my story, um, just kind of where my story started, why I began doing web development, and also just where I was before that. So, I have this guide here, and I moved it here, um, but hopefully I can follow this guide. Um, and So what I did before I began studying web development, the first thing I did was um, the career path that I was kind of going was mechanical engineering as the first major that I began in college, and then I did computer science. So I switched it to computer science because I was more interested in computers, and then I began psychology, and psychology was probably a big mistake. Because I did get my degree in psychology. I got it at Dallas Christian College. First went to Northern Arizona University in Arizona, and then Central Arizona College, and then to Dallas Christian College. Part of it, I mean, I became a Christian, and I wanted to help people, and so I switched to psychology, thinking that I wanted to help people through psychology. Turns out that I really didn't want to do that. So once I got into the field, I did do social work for a while, and it's just miserable. I hated it. So um, so yeah, um, one of the things I wish I would have done was go into computer science and kind of stuck with and stick with that instead of switching to psychology. But because I switched, I kind of had a long journey of trying to figure out what I wanted. It turned out I didn't really want to do psychology. I didn't really want to work in the social work field, and until about 2018. So this is the next part of my guide when I started web development. So in 2018, that's when I began web development, and it didn't begin with me wanting to do web development. It began with working on something for the church, which was with basically graphic design. So I bought Photoshop um, and started using that to start working on some graphic design. And turns out, I mean, it's Photoshop's pretty hard to use, um, and it's pretty hard to be creative in it. And so I wasn't very good at it. So, um, but one of the things I discovered was, well, first, the church they needed a website, um, and so I kind of YouTubed how to make a website through Photoshop. It was just a random question that I asked just to see if I can do it. And there was a YouTube video that showed you how to basically create the design of your website on Photoshop, and you'd be using Dreamweaver to do this. So what you do is you take slices of the photo. It's basically what it is, just a photo, and you create slices on there, and then you transfer it into Dreamweaver. In Dreamweaver, what it does, it takes those slices and puts divs around them and formats them uh, for it to look good on the website. But I mean, that's not a very good way to create a website, just images like that. Um, but one of the things I discovered was that I really enjoyed doing this, even though it was completely wrong way to create a website. But I really did enjoy it, and I was really intrigued and interested in um, what I was seeing in Dreamweaver. I guess the code environment is what I was seeing. So, so what I did, I began doing research on that. I began wanting to learn it, and so did a little bit of research, and then the next part is how I learned. So, um, how I learned web development. So, and through this research, I learned on how to learn. Um, so the tools I used to learn was a couple books that I used. So HTML CSS by John Duckett. It's see if I can pop this up. No, I can't do it. So, but anyways, so HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and jQuery. So first book I got was HTML and CSS. So they're pretty affordable. I mean, you can account for $26.99. Um, and one of the first things I learned was HTML, CSS. It basically learned the structure, which was HTML, and then the style of the website was CSS. So, and then I learned JavaScript right after that. So about 3 months later, learned JavaScript. But the first website was images. My second website for the church, because I did an update on it. The second one was just HTML and CSS. So I created a website with just HTML and CSS, which is possible to do. It just won't be as interactive or dynamic as it would be if you do it with JavaScript. So, um, so basically, what I did, I just built the website. It took me forever. Just doing it straight from HTML CSS takes a long time because you run into a lot of errors, and CSS is not really logical as you would think it is. I mean, it is logical, but it's not logical in the human sense. It's logical in the computer sense, but not in the human sense. So it took a long time to figure out how to make things work and how to make things look the way you want it to. So, because I would have a link or just an image right here that I wanted to keep there. So like a Facebook image right here, so people can click on. But I wanted it to move up with the website. So there's something called float that you can make it stick there, but it would just stay there when you go up. So I'm like, that's not what I wanted. So I'd have to figure out another way to do things. So um, so yeah, so that's what I use. That's how I first learned. I learned JavaScript. That's when I started learning more of the dynamic um, part of the website. So then you have jQuery, which is a library, which basically what it allows you to do. It allows you to write simpler code with JavaScript. So you can basically write everything in JavaScript, but um, as far as your code, the way it'll look like, it'll be more robust, I guess you could say. It'll just look like a mess. It's not as efficient. But if you use jQuery, it simplifies your code, gives you the ability to write code a lot easier than you would if you just wrote in straight JavaScript. So, um, so yeah, so those are the first things that I used to learn. So, the next thing is Team Treehouse is what I used. This is a course. It's a website that has courses on different things. You can get into, well, it shows you up here. So you got learn APIs, learn about business, even digital literacy, learn about Androids, how to make applications for Android phones. So, and you can also learn web development. You can learn front end web development or the full stack, which is full stack is front end and back end. And so yeah, so what I did was I first did front end because I first wanted to get into front end. So just the design and looks of the website is what I wanted to get into. But once I got into back end, I was like, no, this is really what I want to do. So I want to do full stack. Um, so yeah, so this you get a subscription. It's $25 a month to go into their course. But if you want to get a tech degree, is what they call it, and which is kind of the certification. I'm not sure how it works, but that costs $200 a month. So it's quite a bit more expensive. But if you have the money and you are able to do it quickly, I probably would recommend it because they do help you find work after you complete it. So uh, the other tool that I used to learn, I didn't use this as much, but I did use it. It's Free Code Camp. It's a free coding boot camp, I guess you could say. So what it is just a bunch of separate modules that they use. And it's a curriculum, so they go straight from the beginning and get more advanced as they go on. So once you complete HTML, you go into CSS. Once you complete CSS, you go into JavaScript. And I think don't quote me on this, but I think they're starting to do backend. Um, when I first started, I think they were only doing front end. But don't quote me on that. So I'm not 100% sure. But I mean, they're good. Basically, what they do is you don't have a teacher talking to you, so it's just all written down, and you have to read the instructions and you do what they tell you to do. And once you complete it, you click complete, and then you move on to the next. So what I use now is Udemy, and Udemy is it's kind of like Team Treehouse, but you have more independent teachers on here. So if you want to become a teacher, you can go on Udemy and begin teaching. So, but I think it has to be specific types of courses. It can't be just whatever you want. So, so what I use is it's a web development bootcamp. It's a course that I'm taking that I've almost completely done, not quite done yet. Um, and the way it works, I mean, the teacher I have is really good. So, and what you want to do is you want to look at some reviews, see how well it does. Even YouTube reviews, just to see if they're any good. So, and they do have those. And the prices, they look pretty expensive, but they're actually they have sales quite often. Um, During sales, they go down to about $10, and they become affordable. So if you want to do Udemy, you can definitely do it. And this is mostly what I use, so I definitely recommend it. So, but that's the tool I've used for learning. So let's see. All right, the tools I use. So now that I guess you could say I'm a little bit more advanced in web development, even though I'm still a newbie. I'm still learning. I still feel so far behind from a lot of these other people that are in web development. So, but the tools I use basically is HTML, which is just a language, markup language, CSS, which is a style language, cascading style language, cascading style sheet. And then JavaScript is the actual programming language that's used to make your website dynamic, and I use it to work on the back end. So before, it used to be where you couldn't use JavaScript for the back end, so you'd have to learn another language to work on the back end. But now you can use JavaScript. So I think it's been that way for a while now, where you can use JavaScript. So the environment that I use is Node.js, which is a back-end environment where you can use JavaScript. Um, so if you don't really want to learn another language to work on the back end, you can work with Node. But I still recommend that you learn another language like PHP or Python. So, and right now I've learned a little bit of PHP, but when I found out that you can use Node.js, because I had no idea that you can use JavaScript in the back end, I've always learned and thought that you could only use JavaScript in the front end. So, but when I found out you can use Node, I started using Node just to make it easier and quicker for me to learn the back end. So, but once I'm done learning the back end completely um, with Node.js, I'll move on into PHP. So, um, and then a tool I use is GitHub, which is version control. Well, Git is version control. It's actually in your computer. You can install it on your computer, and you can use Git. Basically, what it allows you to do, it allows you to save your project at a certain point. So, um, so I, so I push my project into Git and save it there, and then I work on my project again, continue working on it. If my code was perfect, really good, I save it, push it in, and it adds it onto my project, and so it serves certain points. So say you work on your website, and you created this application on your website, and you made an error. You messed up the whole website basically. You can always refer back to a certain point, um, a certain version of your website to where you can replace it. So, and then GitHub is basically you're storing your files remotely. So you're storing your files in a separate server, not just on your computer. And it just allows you to, it can be done with different files. It doesn't have to just be coding files. It doesn't just have to be coding files. It can be Word documents. Like if you're writing a book, you can write a certain paragraph and and you save it and you realize, no, I did not want that, you can always refer back to something else. Um, you could also create branches, which allows you to say you have a project, and then you create a separate branch, which allows you to create a separate project, which allows you to create just an extra. Say you want to create a a new feature, but you don't want to mess up the original project. You can create a separate branch, work on that feature. If it doesn't work out, you can always go back to the master project. So, so that's it's a really cool tool, and just allows you to keep your stuff safe. So. Another tool that I use now, working on the back end, is the MongoDB. It's a database that I use to store data. So, which it allows you to store information. So, say you create a social media site, it just allows you to store people's information. Make sure it just doesn't get deleted. So, and if you don't have a database, you can't store the information. And this one is a NoSQL database. There's a SQL database that you can use as well. So, um, and difference, the only difference I've heard of so far, that I know of, since I'm still new, is that it's relationship based. SQL is relationship based, and NoSQL is not relationship based. So, if I understand it right. So, but this is what I'm working on. I plan on learning the other type of database as well. So, but this is what I've learned so far. Um, so yeah, this has been fun stuff learning. It's been stressful. It's been hard, frustrating, um, but I have enjoyed the process. Um, so um, my future plans, I mean, it can be several things. I mean, I do want to get a job in web development, but I think my biggest goal right now is try to start a freelance business. So, and I'm kind of in the beginning stages. I mean, one of the hardest things is trying to get started because I mean, I do have a lot of fear getting into it. A lot of it has to do with fear of failure, and also fear of not actually knowing what I'm doing. And so that's kind of a big step that I'm trying to take right now. Uh, Watched a couple of YouTube guys who have been in the business for a while, and one of the things they've said, I mean, since I've learned the back end stuff already, I've learned how to work some of the frameworks that are on there. One of the things he said that is just take on a project and learn it. So, so if there's something, so say you have a company that wants you to create a website or an application for them, and you don't really necessarily know how to do it. Well, what you do is just do it. Just learn what you got to learn to get that done. So, and he says once you've learned the basics of the back end, basics of even the front end, um, learning everything else will become a lot easier. So, and I mean it's true, because once I've learned the basics of JavaScript, learning the back end was still hard, but it was doable. Same, he said the same thing was if you learn one language really well, learning another language is going to be easy. So, because they all have some similarities. So once you learn one, you can learn the other one a lot easier. So, so yeah, that's my future plans. I mean, I do plan on getting a job in web development, and but I also do want to have my freelance business. My freelance business is called Mars Web Development. So, my sister helped me out on getting that name. It's basically my initials, MAR. And um, so yeah, I'm excited. I also want to show you guys some of the things I've been working on. Doesn't look good, but it's something I've been working on. So this is for the church. It's a church website. It's the new updated website, so which is not finished yet. But I do want to show you guys what I've been working on. So this is right here. You can see that I've been using Node, and then I've been using JavaScript. So obviously, so this is a backend application that I'm using. That I'm trying to build that I've built already. This is the first one I've done, um, and the only one I've done so far, so on my own. So what I did was basically I just used it's a boilerplate. This part starting right here. So this section here, it's a boilerplate from NodeMailer. And what it allows you to do is it allows you to create a contact page. Here, let me show you. So it allows you to create a okay, it's not working. So let me see if I can figure out what's going on. Just go here. So I will have to go directly to the website. So I moved some stuff around, so I gotta check the name on here. So okay, websites. So cd into websites, and then get the name again. Sorry guys. Okay, websites number 2. That's what it is. So cd church website number 2. So cd'd in there. And what I'm doing, I'm just trying to turn on the server so that I can see the website. So nodemon app.js. So there we go. Now it's working. So what this allows me to do is it allows me to pop up the website. So on my computer. So localhost. There we go. So yeah. So this is what it looks like right now. So I mean, I got this done pretty well here. A lot of these are just placeholders, the images. So I'm trying to finish the design. I'm not quite done yet on that. So I finished this part here. So that took forever. CSS is a pain in the butt, but you got to do it. So yeah. So the app that I was able to build was this section right here. So basically, what it is, this code here. Basically what it does, it allows the person to, and I'm pretty excited about this because I did this on my own. I had to figure it out on my own. I try not to use YouTube or anything like that, but try to just read the documentation that the creators of this module did. So all right, where was I? So yeah, so basically I created a contact page, and it allows a person to enter their email address and write a message and then send it. So what it does, it saves the email address, and then you create the message, and then it sends it to an email. So whoever's email was set up. So right here, you have authorization. So this gives me the authorization to be able to send the information through Gmail. Or if you use any other email, you have to do the same thing. So these codes, basically it keeps you from being able to see my email, my password. So I have it stored somewhere else, so you can't see it here. So right here, basically it sets up to where it transports the information. So it goes from trying to remember what it is because I don't want to go into it because I don't want you to see that information. So so that would be my email. No, that would be their email, and then it would send it to my email account. So, and this is what would be on the subject heading. So basically, the church website email plus is just creating a space, and then my email, which you can't see. So it's stored somewhere else in here. So, and the text is basically just what goes into the message. So it's basically grabbing a hold of that information, taking that information and sending it to my email. So that was the first thing I built. Basically, it's a boilerplate, but even though you got a boilerplate, you have to figure out how it works, and you have to know what information to put on those sections. So took a while. I had a lot of errors, but it was really exciting when I finally solved it. So yeah, I just want to show that just kind of where I'm at. This is kind of my beginning stages of coding. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope to make some more videos. My goal is to create some tutorials as far as web development goes. So um, I was thinking about HTML and CSS, but um, teaching those is not that exciting, and I mean there's better ways to learn besides just YouTube videos. So, but the more complex stuff like JavaScript and frameworks and learning the back end, I do plan on doing that in the future. So right now I'm not quite there yet, but once I get better at understanding this stuff, so I'll start beginning my tutorials. So, all right, thank you. All right, y'all have a good one. Bye.